Welcome back to Real Estate Simplified. Erwin, you've been around, we could call you a real estate veteran at this point. Lead conversion. So, we've been talking in the first segment about generating that business that, have somebody raise their hand and say, hey, I want some more information. How does a real estate agent take that expression of interest and turn that into a lead and a customer?
So the way I do it, from my experience, so I've been doing this since 2010, starting with the blog, was I would mention in the blog, say, hey, we're hosting an event once a month. I would host real estate meetups, and then just a longer format of sharing what I'm seeing in the market. We're always bringing guest speakers and stuff like that to educate people on on best practices real estate. If you're interested, come hang out, right? Usually the fee is usually nominal. I think we charge like between $5 and $20 for just charity purposes. And then it was for me as a business owner, it was a touch point for me for my existing clients because they want to learn too. And then for novices to come in, and then now I had what I considered a perfect situation. My past clients can be referrals for these new people who don't even know us, and they see that we're sharing from experience, we know what we're doing, and then after the meeting we go, hey, who wants to actually go see property? And so they come see it with us. So we do group tours. We do group tours of like 15 to, sometimes one time we had over 80 people going to see property. So we had 80 people with us, all drive out. It was a mess. Like imagine if your house is for sale and then you have 80 people come through your home, and then I remember one owner was home and he goes, what's going on? I go, well, we have all these clients and it's better this way. We get this out of the way in 30 minutes versus I can have 80 different appointments. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, that's fantastic, right? He's selling his home. He wants volume. So that's how we converted. Yeah. And then part of that also was, as a real estate agent, often they're commoditized, right? So this is how we set ourselves as being different. We know what we're doing, and also on these tours, they can see that our attention is divided. Like they don't have all of our attention. They have to understand that we have many clients, so they have to be respectful of our time in order to do business with us.
Yeah, well, which we could get on a whole nother track with setting expectations with clients and all that stuff, but we'll save that for the next episode. You guys are back. So, David, so we've had the person raise their hand. Erwin talked about building exceptional value with what he's offering and demonstrating a level of expertise. What else can agents do in order to build that trust factor? Because I think according to the National Association of Realtors, trust is the number one thing consumers are looking for from their agents. So how can agents also build trust besides running live events and tours of homes?
Two things: authenticity and value. Actually, I'll throw three things in, and we said it before: consistency. That's where it comes from, right? We look at any of the success that anybody has in life on anything, and it always comes back from consistency. So if we're consistently adding value to the relationship, we will start to build what we're looking for in terms of that trust factor. So it's relationships. We're really working to build on a marketing strategy that's going to consistently be out there saying, okay, across social media, when you see me, I'm going to show you who I am as a real human being. And I think that's a misconception a lot of people have too when it comes to a lot of the branding is I've got to put out this facade, this angle on who I am and try to put something on for people, right? Whereas in the other way, we look at it and say, no, we really want you to be authentic. Be who you are. The more authentic you are, the more people are going to tie into who you are, and that's where real trust is going to come from. Because one of the worst things that anybody could see is that you're there with the big fancy watch in front of the big fancy car, in front of the big fancy house that you don't own any of them, and now people are going, wait a second, that's not really who that person is when I met them. Or they're seeing you in a video, as we talk about video, and you're a happy-go-lucky, energetic person. They meet you in person, you don't have time for anybody. Well, that's not the same person I just saw in video. So a lot of times what it comes back to is, like anything else in life when we're building relationships, it just takes time, right? We start to find our people. We start to find the people that we like. And the more we find the people that we like, that we start to say, hey, this is kind of my people. I could talk to this person. The trust doesn't build immediately. Trust takes time. So it is about putting in that long-term effort. And I would say the same thing that we talk about real estate investing. Does it happen overnight? No. Okay, so your relationships and your trust factor, especially when it comes to the biggest asset of my entire life, it's not going to happen overnight either. So any marketing play you go into, back to the budgeting, back to who's your audience, right there, inject that consistency across multiple channels, and you'll have a better chance of building the trust.
Yeah.
trust. That's where listings come from as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. And Erwin, let's say your team receives a sign call or you have somebody inquire online. What does your process look like to take that person from that prospect all the way through to a sit-down appointment where you can actually deliver that value?
So it depends on where they're coming from. If it's traditional real estate, then we do a lot of the traditional things. What we prefer is working with investors. So then we we offer these events. We do these free tours of properties, and then we all have experience sharing. Because like David talked about building trust, our team will start sharing their experiences with real estate, bigger picture and smaller picture, to let the client know, let the lead know, like this is what we do for a living. My family's long-term wealth is based almost entirely in real estate, so we put a lot of effort into being as good as we possibly can at being professional real estate investors.
Yeah, and David mentioned the authenticity factor, and I think that's one thing that has really helped your success too. When somebody's listening to your podcast, for example, you are exactly the same guy on the podcast that you are in person. Why is it, do you think, that so many agents out there have that fake kind of facade, where everything's just not how it is? Like, why do agents think that they have to do that sometimes?
I don't know. I've never been trained under traditional real estate. The brokerage I joined I only interviewed for one brokerage, and that's where I worked. I don't know how other people do business. This is just the way I like to do business. And the way I like to do business was, I'm incredibly hard on myself. So when I started, my business plan started off with, I will be the business agent I want to work with. And I have very high standards, and I work really hard at managing my portfolio and understanding macroeconomics and knowing what's going on in the world. And so I expect the same from my agent, who I consider a very, very high-priced consultant. So they better know their stuff if they're supposed to be my guide in becoming financially successful, having a comfortable retirement, right? And then my team understands that as well, because most of my team were my clients before. So they understand how I operate, they understand my level of care, and the level of morals and ethics that we do business in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's more than just opening doors, which is, I think, I'll come out with a very controversial statement that 99% of agents just open doors and don't offer that level of expertise and that insight and advice. Would you agree with that?
Again, I can't really speak to what other agents do. It's funny you mentioned open doors, because we work with investors who are often very, very busy people. They have busy lives, young kids, they own their own businesses. Even before the pandemic, we were showing houses virtually. Mm-hmm. I'd do it on a FaceTime call, and again, how I operate as a real estate investor is, I don't really care what anything looks like. I can translate almost everything into dollar signs, as in this kitchen is tired. It's going to cost me $5,000 to get it to a standard that I want in order to get the tenant that I want, right? So everything went back to those sorts of decisions, and so my investors who appreciated our services got a really quick understanding of what we're looking at, and often they didn't have to see the property for that reason. And again, just being someone who's diligent and being a real estate investor myself, I currently own over 12 properties. I've owned over 40 properties personally. I know what to look for. So again, I do my best to do a property inspection for my client before they even see it, right? And then when they come to see it, they go, yep, I see that, I see that, I see that. Yeah, you're right. Let's buy the house.
Yeah, it's that level of expertise that is very, very hard to find. So coming up after the break, we'll be talking about how an agent can differentiate themselves from the thousands and thousands of others out there. Stay tuned.